Hey guys, it's M. And you're probably wondering what this video is. This video is a compilation of all my HNK complaint videos. Since I finished HNK 1 and 2, I thought it'd be nice to put it into one single package. And since a lot of you guys weren't subbed from before a certain point, I thought it'd be nice to let you all catch up at the same time for all my more negative takes. Don't be too surprised when some of the audio sounds a bit weird or when I say certain names wrong. A lot of this was recorded a long time ago, so my editing's gotten better since then, or at least I like to think so. But with all that out of the way, enjoy me talking about my HNK opinions for like an hour. Hey guys, it's M, and today I'm going to be talking about the things I don't like about HNK.
You were the chosen one!
No, look. I'm not betraying anything. I think with any form of media you really enjoy, you should know the positives and the negatives. If you're thinking, why am I doing this now? Well, embarrassing secret, but I never actually finished HNK 1.
It was said that you would destroy this and not join them!
I know what happens because of the games and other media, but I've never actually watched past Souther's arc in the anime, at least until now since I've started rewatching it recently. So, now that it's all relatively fresh in my mind, I thought it'd be neat for me to give my opinions and talk about some of the weaker elements of the show, and see if you guys feel the same or if you completely disagree with me. And before I officially start talking, two more things. One, if you expect me to simply tear into this show, that's not gonna happen. This isn't a rant type video, so don't expect me to do that. Second, this video isn't scripted past this point. It's basically me just reacting to bullet points, so don't expect the same kind of structure my other videos have. With all that out of the way, let's begin. Okay, now the video is actually starting and it's just me. And we have our first point, Shin. I don't like Shin as a character. Now I know, Em, you made a whole video about him. What do you mean you don't like him? As a character, I think he's written not great. And I know later in the show he has his own little redemption where they go like, he actually sent Yuria away and pretended. I think that works in the movie because like he tells Ken, he's like, oh, you know, oh, we're fucked up, Road took her. That made sense. Animation, he doesn't do that. He just goes like, Yuria jumped, goodbye. I'm like, why did we write him like this? And then people think, oh, well, his redemption arc redeemed him. It did not. Because I think they wanted you to forgive him because it was like, oh, he saved Ken's girlfriend. Yeah, that's fair. But then you think about, he still almost killed Ken to take her. And the whole aspect where they were like, oh, they used to be best friends. I'm like, Ken, you have some horrible friends. If this was your best friend and he's out here, I'll kill you because your beat up brother told me to. Long story short, I don't like Shin. I just don't. Was not written very well. He was a good first villain. He was very memorable just because of his stupid, annoying laugh. If they gave him more reason for taking Yuria at the start, like if he knew she was gonna be in trouble or something, and he didn't almost kill Ken, then I think he would have been a better character. But as it stands, he's kind of meh. Mamaya kind of sucked. I don't know if this is a controversial opinion. I've never really heard anyone else talk about Mamaya other than going like, yeah, I like her. But it's like, in the show, she did not do anything. If you pay attention to the anime, every single time, she will knock out 2 people, and then she'll get knocked out. I'm not even joking. Every single encounter she has, she'll knock out 2 people, and then she gets instantly knocked out. I'm struggling to think of a single time she did anything of importance. Because every time she was involved in like encounter, she almost died or got captured every single time. And then there's the whole she liked Ray thing, and like I think it's universally accepted that that was a little rushed. It kind of didn't make sense because at first she was like, oh, Ken, oh, my man Ken, and Ken was like, I have a whole ass dead girlfriend and you're coming on to me. And then Ray like he dies to avenge her, and then she's like, oh, I love him. I'm like, no, you didn't. I'm like, that was never part of her character. She didn't even really like Ray. Ray was like mad creepy at the start. Ray would have got canceled today if he did half the stuff he did in the show to her. Now, like, that whole aspect just felt rushed. I didn't really like it. And on the second part of this, a lot of the female characters are bad. I can't really name one that is helpful, to be honest, because what is there? There's Rin. She cries. That's really it. There's Mamaya. We just talked about why I don't really like Mamaya. And Yuria, I guess. Yuri is like white bread. Like she's kind of just like, it's gonna sound really bad out of context. She's kind of just like the objective. Like she doesn't really like actively do anything. So I'm not gonna go like, oh, Yuri is cool. Maybe in HNK 2 it gets all crazy, but like in HNK 1, none of them were written good. I don't know what else to say. I do believe that the writer admitted that, and that's why we got that spin-off story where like all the main characters were female. But as it stands for just normal HNK, they were lackluster. Toki and the Death Omen star scene. Okay, so some of you may be wondering, what is he talking about? The Death Omen star has been seen multiple times. I'm talking about the first scene where they're at the campfire and Ray sees it and Mamaya sees it and he doesn't say anything. That part had me shocked and appalled because I remember freaking out because I'm like, oh, this means they're all gonna die. And then Toki didn't say anything. I'm like, why would he... Why would he not say anything? That is so stupid. Like, oh dang, I know my brother's friends are gonna die. Let me not tell them. I don't even really remember how they figured out. Didn't Ro say it? Or like, when Ro was about to kill Ray, he said it? And then she was like, oh, I can see that too. Like, Toki, you could have told them that. He could have told Ray, oh, you're probably, you got some issues coming up, man. Like, he could have told him that, but he didn't. I'm just saying, that scene, that small scene, irritated me way harder than I think it should have. Jaggy was underutilized. This is something you're probably going to hear me say a few times in this list, because I feel like a lot of characters were underutilized in HNK. But Jaggy has what I like to call Raditz syndrome. He could have been an extremely interesting character, and then they killed him, and then he never comes back. Like, Jaggy is literally evil Kenshiro. He is an evil version of the main character. And they just did not do anything with it at all. They just went like, oh, he died. And that was it. I understand the whole point of HNK 1 was, you know, Ken has to get rid of his brothers. They have to have their fists sealed or whatever. But I'm like, I think Ken should have beat him up. And he lives it and comes back later. And he isn't, like, stupid weak. You know, that was the other thing. They made Jaggy like dummy weak. I understand they were like, oh yeah, he's smart and he's like a schemer, but I can't fully put into words how like underwhelming it was, because they hyped him up like a good amount, right? Even when Ken left, he was like, y'all can't follow me because my brother, he's mad fiending. Like, they were scared of him. And then he gets clowned. Like, he should have been stronger. He should have done more. I understand he set up the whole start of the show, and I'm like, that's cool, but I'm just kind of disappointed that with this character who sets up the start of the show, is basically an evil version of the main character and has his powers and could have been super interesting, gets into one fight and then dies. And then he is never mentioned again for the rest of the show unless there's a flashback with him directly in it. Ray should have lived longer. So you see what I mean by characters being underused? I think Ray, the thing with Ray is if he lived longer, I don't really know what he would have done. This isn't something I'm super angry about, but it feels like Ray just kind of started getting interesting when they killed him. Because before he was like creepy guy, and then he went to creepy guy who saved his sister, to, oh, he's becoming a good dude, and then they killed him. I'm like, I feel like he could have been just like a side character they left alive. I know this is HNK, and if your name isn't Rin or Bat, you're probably going to die, but he got it real bad, and I wish he didn't. That's all I'm trying to say with this. Ro's first fight kind of sucked at establishing him. What I mean by this is, they give him the whole strong thing. You understand that he's a threat. He rolls up on his horse, he like murks Ray, and it's like, oh, this dude's scary. But you kind of just get the feeling he's like Jiren, like he's just a wall, like a brick that's just there to be annoying. Because they go like, oh, he's the strongest man on earth, and then he immediately cheats fighting Toki, and then Ken almost kills him. Like, they both almost kill each other, and I'm like, you can't have me be afraid of this dude and go like he's freakishly strong, and then he almost dies twice. Toki could have killed him if he didn't cheat in that first fight, and Ken was like 3 seconds away from doing that. So he should have been established better than I'm just a dickhead, because later he turns into an actually good character. It's just when you first see him, it's like, this dude sucks. Mamaya was stupid in Ro's first fight. Okay, some may be wondering, what am I talking about? What is he talking about? What does he mean by this? If you remember, in Ro's first fight, Ro pins Toki. I hope I can find the clip for this. But Mamaya is aiming at Ro with a dart, and they go, no, don't shoot him. He'll catch the dart. And she's like about to cry, about to shoot the dart. and they're like, you're stupid, he's gonna kill you, and it won't even do anything because he's not even gonna flinch. And she's like, goodbye. I'm like, what is this? Sitting here having an emotional breakdown about it. And then she shot it anyway, and I think Ken had to save her. That whole scene I think was pretty stupid. Yuta was a terrible villain. That was pretty straightforward. I was literally going to make a video about this. I was gonna make a video on why I think Shin and Yuta sucked, but I didn't do it. But I think Yuta is the worst HNK1 villain. Like, he felt pointless. He felt like a filler character. And then it's like, oh, this is a real arc. This is really happening. I understand he was made because they were like, oh, Mamiya sees the Death Omen star and he's gonna kill her, and now Rei has to stop him. I get that. I didn't understand what he wanted. I understand the whole thing where he was like, oh, Rei moves really pretty, and I was like, that's kind of a dumb motive, but you know, it's anime, I can kind of understand it, I guess. What was he doing before that? The whole thing where it was like, he captures ladies and then tells them to say he's pretty or else he kills them. I'm like, why is he doing that? Like, because he's insecure. He came off like a big stupid baby. I'm like, his motivations suck. What he was doing before the story started of him just kidnapping people, I didn't understand it at all. Like, what is this character? He sucks. And then they start fighting, and then he pulls a Jaggy and cheats, and I'm like, oh god, bro. And I don't even remember him doing any moves other than dying. Like, I know in the games he has moves, but I don't think he legitimately did any of them. Because it was literally like the second him and Rei started fighting, Rei started whooping his ass, and then he was like, oh, I gotta cheat. And then he died anyway. You could probably throw in an argument like, why don't you hate the Devil's Rebirth or like the Golan arc and all that? That's because those felt like intentional throwaway villains for Ken to just look cool on. He was one of the South Stars, like he was a main villain. He just sucked. Period. Koryu was a bad character. And what do you mean by this? Don't you mean underwhelming or, you know, underappreciated? No, I mean he was a bad character. Unlike someone like Jaggy or Yuta, there wasn't any like preset build up to, oh, we have to fight this guy or deal with this. Koryu was only mentioned when they were gonna kill him. He died in like the same episode he was introduced, and then he only did 3 moves, and the last one was a suicide attempt attack that didn't work, and then he died. And that's all we know about Koryu. He trained with Ryuken, and he should have been really strong, but we didn't get to see him do anything other than get clapped, so who knows? He might have sucked. Like, it was so bad. This character has no point to exist. He might as well be Jackal or something. Jackal even had more build-up than Koryu did. He was a filler character that existed to die. There was no reason for Koryu to be in the story. If you wrote him out of the story, literally nothing would have changed. Toki felt a bit underutilized. I told y'all this was going to be a trend. Toki has the same exact problem that I had with Rei. He became a really interesting character when he was dying. We all knew past like the first introduction of Toki, he was going to die at some point. Like when he saw the Death Omen star, it was like, yeah, he's gonna die. We all know that. But he had his most interesting like revelation when he was about to die. That whole part where he was like, Kenshiro, you've made me want to fight again, and I know whose fists I have to seal. I was like, okay, Toki, we see you. And then he died because of Ryuga funk booty self. I wish they let him just kind of die from the illness, you know? It's not like after that Ro fight I was expecting him to just go, you know, just start beating people up, because he obviously couldn't have done that. But something about him having his best moment and then Ryuga immediately kills him, it rubbed me the wrong way. Again, like the Rei thing, I think it would have been cool if they left him on the side and then he just, you know, casually dies in between like HNK 1 and 2 from his illness. Instead of just, look at this cool character we've made. Now let's murder him. When he can't even fight. That was the worst part. He couldn't even fight Ryuga anymore. He had no, I'm so shook. Toki got done dirty. That's what I'm trying to say. Ryuga, as a character, was kinda stupid and his final fight wasn't that great. I don't think this is a controversial opinion. Every time I looked in the Crunchyroll comments on all of his episodes, it was like 84% of them were like, I don't understand him, he kinda sucks. And the other half was, he's Yuria's brother? And I think that's the main problem with Ryuga. He could have been really interesting. I think he's better than Shin and Yuta. Like, he's better than those bottom tier villains. But they didn't deliver on what he could have done. basically all he does is he follows Ro, and then he has like this eternal conflict of who needs to lead the world forwards. He kills Toki, and then he fights Ken. And the fight sucked. And I'm like, I think they should have made him do more. They should have made him do like some actual atrocious stuff. Because all you see him do that's really bad is kill Toki. And I guess you could go like, what about the scenes where he was fighting with Ro? But he didn't kill any bad people in that. The only people he killed in that scene were like thugs that Ken probably would have killed anyway because they were bad people, so it didn't matter. But I think they should have made him just like, I don't know. They should have just made him like murder a village. Like there should have been a village that was like, we're not serving Ro, and then he just went like, oh really? Ice Wolf Fang Fist, and then he kills all of them. That should have happened. As for the final fight, I need closure, dude. I need someone to tell me why he sliced his stomach before Ken got there. Was there any good reason for that? Because it didn't make sense to me that you go, let me test this man so he can save my sister. But before he gets here, I'm going to slice my stomach open. Why did he do that? I feel like I was robbed of a fight that could have been incredible because he did that. I'm like, the buildup was so nice, right? Because it's like, this man just killed Ken's brother. Ken's pissed off. And Ryuga's out here pulling a perfect cell like, what's wrong? That was a baby punch. You call that a punch? God, you're trash. And then Ken gets mad and he starts wiping the floor with him. I'm like, yes, this scene could go on for like 20 minutes and I would be happy. And then the fight stops because this idiot sliced his stomach open for no reason. I feel like I was robbed of closure. After he killed Toki, I was like, Ken, you could beat this dude around like a ping pong ball. That's all I need to happen. And then it didn't happen. Ugh. And the whole aspect of him being Yuria's brother, I think they could have done really interesting stuff with that, but man, that pissed me off. I'm sure you can tell because this is the longest section so far, but that grinded my gears. that made me mad. And last, so far, I wish the Nanto Chariots got more. What could you possibly mean by this, Em? Yuza got a lot of screen time, and he was a pretty good character. So was Fudo. I'm talking about Huey and Shuren. Why am I talking about Huey and Shuren? Well, Shuren is a firebender. We haven't seen anyone like that so far, and I'm like, oh, that's super interesting. But what I'm mainly upset about is Huey, and you may be saying, Huey is such a nothing He has the coolest martial art in the whole show. He fights with air. Like, how the hell are you gonna beat air? That first time he shows up and he sprinted at those goons and they all got cut up by the air. I'm like, how do you beat this man? And then Ro one taps him. I'm like, what the like, and then they just kill him. This is a war crime. Like, how could you do that? Shu's death was meh. Okay, so what I mean by this is, a lot of people told me when you get to Shu's death, that's one of the saddest moments in the show. We all love Shu. I don't think Shu was that good of a character. He was a good dude. He did cool things. You know, he fed the shelter of people that he liked. He had his good son. But I don't know. It wasn't that deep. We didn't get to know him to a point where I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'll cry over this. It was more, dang, my boy died. Oh well. Like, you just kept it moving after that. If anything, Shu's son's death was actually tragic, because I don't think anyone expected that to happen. When Ken was sitting there, oh, I can't go back to fight him. He whooped my ass. And Shu's son was sitting there. We don't have time for this, Ken. Look, get off me. You need to go save everybody. And he blew up. That was shocking. You couldn't do that in anime nowadays. That one hit. That one hit. I still remember that. That one hit. But Shu's death was mid. We could have a conversation about it, cause I've seen Shu fanboys before, and I honestly don't get it. The first half of HNK 1 is worse than the second half. Okay. When I say the first half of HNK 1, I mean like Souther and behind. And the second half, I mean, you know, when Rogue shows up and he's like the main villain. When Rao shows up and he's the main villain. I haven't made a video like this in a bit, so, you know, I've said Rao a few times, or Ro. I don't know, however I used to say it, the one that y'all roasted me for. The first half of HNK 1 felt like we're establishing Ken as the badass, and there was some story in there. Like, things happened, but they weren't, you know, this is the unique thing to this story, this is what's keeping me interested. Like, the thing that kept you interested in the first half of HNK, I felt was mostly seeing what Ken was going to do, what villain he was going to fight the next week, and stuff like that. when you get to the second half, it's like, oh, the plot is picking up. Like, Raul was a way better villain than everyone in the first half. He got way more writing time for him. He was built up way better. And then if you compare him to someone like Yuta, Amoeba, people like that from the first half, it's like, this isn't even a comparison. Huey and Sharon were both wasted potential. I said this in the last one, but honestly, I didn't see the second half of HNK1 when I made the last video. So now that I've seen it, I think it's even worse that they did them like that. Huey was so cool. They were hyping him up. They had him chopping up bandits. He fought Ken. Didn't really go too well for him, but he fought Ken, and then he fights Raul. He didn't even get to throw an air swipe. Shit just didn't happen. He just went, I'm gonna jump in on the dude who's way stronger than me. Even though I have range and control air, I'm gonna jump on top of him. Dies. And we don't ever run into another character who fights like that, ever. It's such a wasted opportunity. It makes me so mad and sad that they did him like that. And Shuren, I think Shuren could have been better. I don't think he had the same kind of potential I feel Huey did, because Huey's power I just felt was more interesting than I'm a firebender. But I don't understand why they made real characters like Juza and Fudo and put them in the same category as these two who said like 2 lines. One got a hole in his stomach, the original Kakuin, got straight donutted, and the second one got his neck snapped 360. It was really stupid. Next point. What is the point of Toe? Look, see, this is exactly what I'm talking about, and this has a second point on it. Toe felt like the most useless character, because when you say the 5 chariots, I forget she exists. I honestly, at the moment, I can't even remember if she's one. I'm not gonna lie to you. It kind of felt like she was just there, because she didn't have any powers. The only thing she did was pretend to be Yuria one time, and they could have just got, like, any woman to do that. So that was a thing. And then when she said, I love Raul because he saved me from a hyena once, but then we never talked after that, and I've loved him for like 20 years or however old I am at this point. I think that was stupid. I know that this is Fist of the North Star and there are a lot of characters that like other characters and there's like no reason for it, but I didn't like that. I thought that was dumb. And then I got to the next point connected to this one is, I wish the final fight flashed back to Raul's loop around. If you don't know what I mean by this, when Raul runs into Toe, he goes like, when she kills herself, he goes, you should have killed me so no one else could have me, or you could have a piece of me. He says something like that. But then when he gets Yuria, he doesn't kill her, so he basically did the same thing she did. He basically kills himself because he's like, fuck, I can't. I love her, bro. Can go have her, bro. Can be happy, bro. And I'm like, if this was I know some people would say, oh, it can't be on the nose, but I'm sure a lot of people didn't even make that connection. I would have liked at least a scene. Like, maybe they see like a ghost of Toe in the back or something that make it feel like she at least kind of mattered. Rihaku did nothing. His plan sucked. Okay, yeah. I don't even think this is an unpopular opinion. Rihaku's plan didn't make any sense. It was like, okay, I'm gonna send the 2 weakest fighters we have first. I'm gonna send the strongest one we have right now on an escort mission for some reason. And Juza is being a clown, so I'll just send 2 random guys to get him. I'm like, why didn't he send Fudo to fight Raul first? The guy that we know could have beat him up. I don't know if Rihaku knew that. I'm assuming they go through background checks. But Fudo, from what we've been told, because God knows it didn't show, Fudo apparently could have beat Raul. Why didn't he just send Huey or Shuren to guide Ken? It would have made more sense, because neither of them seem to be really good at fighting any significant threat. But if they got to travel with Ken, we would have got to see more of their character, more of their interesting abilities, and all this kind of stuff. But no, we didn't get any of that. We got Ken and Fudo talking, which it did help establish Fudo a little bit. He didn't really do too much. Like, he was there. Most of Ken and Fudo traveling was, oh, my kids, my 8 million orphans. But yeah, it's like, there could have been a more interesting dynamic there. I also said that he should have sent Fudo and Juza at the same time. This just makes sense. They could have sent, I guess, the 2 guys to go get Juza, and when Juza comes back, he goes, alright, Fudo, come back. And then he just comes back. Raul makes it to the fortress, and then they jump him. What's Raul gonna do? We all saw him struggle against Juza. Fudo only lost, apparently, because he got shot by Raul's men. So, you have 2 people who you know can fight the big threat threat right now, but you didn't send them at the same time. His plan didn't make any sense. His plan sucked. I wish we got more young Ryukin. I don't know if this is an HNK too, but young Ryukin kind of seemed interesting, because when you get the old Ryukin, it's like, oh, this is the old mentor character. He doesn't do anything. He dies in a flashback. He taught the main cast, and that was his purpose. Young Ryukin kind of seemed like a dick. I'm not gonna lie to nobody. Because at first, I thought he was gonna be a generic teacher, because he's like, you two are gonna be my son strong, and you will learn Hokuto. That's how it is. And I'm like, that's cool. And then you get the flashback where he throws them off a cliff. Bro, that I was like, oh, he's like a dead set, I'm gonna get people killed if you gonna listen to me trainer. And it's the only time we really see that aspect of him, and it's really disappointing. We even kind of see that with Fudo, because Fudo is like, oh, you're the Hokuto master, are you gonna fight me? And he's like, no. But you know, most like anime masters would have been like, how dare you disrespect my students, we will now fight. And he didn't do that. He ain't even care. I'm like, this dude seems interesting, but we don't get anything on him. This one, it's more of a nitpick than a straight up complaint, but the thing with MT is, it's like, oh, these are the people whose souls you've connected with. So like Rei, Shin, Toki, and whoever else was in there. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. And I'm like, okay, these make sense. And then I'm like, why is Souther in there? I know, look, people are gonna go like, what are you, stupid? Souther started crying in front of Ken, and that's when they connected. I don't even think he told Ken all that. Like, he had that little flashback where he was like, Tosan, no, I killed you by accident in one hit, even though you're a really strong Nanto master. Oh, shit. And then he hugged his master and died in a pyramid. In comparison to Rei, who was his friend for like most of that area of the season, and then died for his other friend, which I'm like, that makes sense. Toki is his brother, who died to fight their other brother, which he is destined to fight anyway. I'm like, okay, soul succession, whatever. That makes sense. Shin didn't even really want to fight Ken, and they were best friends, and he's an asshole, but you know, they're cool. That all makes sense. Souther crying one time after killing Shu, after having slave kids? I don't think him and Ken connected. Ken was pissed. Remember, he was like, I'm gonna make sure a single strand of your hair doesn't even exist. But apparently their souls clicked, apparently. When he hugged his master, he was like, fuck, I feel that. If I could give Ryukin a hug right now, I totally would. Fudo's fight was literally Juice's fight recycled and worse. Okay, yeah, I'm talking about the anime version. I don't know what the manga version looks like. I'm assuming Fudo also didn't do shit there. But, cause Juice's fight, like, it was kind of a wash. You saw them throw hands. I'm mainly talking about the second fight. Juza threw hands, Juza had Rao scared, and it was cool, you know? And then there was that scene in the anime where he gets knocked down and Juza dies, and he's fighting while he's dead. That shit was, I got the chills from that, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was like, oh, fuck. And they're like, he's living the way he always lived his life, free, and he just starts throwing hands with Rao. I'm like, dang, you could've came off with this energy before? Bro, he headbutt my guy. Like, he wasn't playing. And then you get to the Fudo fight in the anime, where Fudo just gets like sturdy dicked for like the first half. He goes down, he gets up again, and then he gets shot. In comparison to Juza, who is like fighting Rao for a good long time and almost like breaks his arm. And then you go to Fudo, who did nothing, got his ass beat. Juza stands up, he's fighting while he's dead. Fudo stands up, winds back a punch for 10 minutes, and then gets shot. I wish we got to see more of the last Nanto General City for the build-up, and I wish it was shown earlier. Yeah, if you guys remember, I wouldn't blame you if you didn't. It was for a very short moment of time. They had shown what the Nanto General City looked like, and it was this super peaceful place. It was this super lovely. The sun was shining down on it. People were just trading, living life, live, laugh, love. They were coolin'. I wish we got to see it more before that, because they were like, oh, Yuria's destiny was to become the general, da-da-da-da-da. But for most of the show, you're sitting there like, what is she doing? Sitting there looking stupid? You didn't get to see what she was defending until one time, and never again. I'm like, I don't know. I kind of wish they showed like little glimpses of that city, and then they revealed that's what Yuria was protecting, and it would have been like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But yeah, I like the fact that they showed what she was doing in like the city she was watching over, but I would just wish we got to see more of it. Rao shouldn't want Yuria. Okay, I don't know if this is a hot take, but this shit pissed me off. Okay, Rao's whole wanting conquest and all that and going like, man, fuck the successorship. I'm not the successor. I'm gonna conquer everything. I am gonna rule Century's End. I'm like, damn. Cause you knew he was an asshole, but it was kind of respectable a little bit. Cause you watch the whole show and you see him just start conquering everything. It was really bad. Like, everyone was suffering in there and all that. But it's like, with that just being his sole drive, I'm like, this is an amazing villain. Cause it wasn't like Jiren where he was just a fucking brick. Like, you knew who he was. He was Ken's brother. And then he said, that's it. I'm coming for everything right now. You know? I no longer need that title. I am the ruler of World's End. It was so hype. Cause it was like, okay, Last Nanto General's tower, that's the last thing I need. I don't need anything else. I've conquered everything else. I own everything. This is the final thing. There is no emotions tied to this like every other villain in this show. There's no emotions. I just want to win. And I'm like, fuck. It made for a good contrast because there's Ken who's like, I love people. I love my girlfriend. I just want everyone to be okay. I mean, he doesn't talk like that, obviously. But, you know, that's kind of who he was. He was just a caring dude. Rao did not care. He didn't give a single shit. He didn't love anybody. He was just like, I'm here to take this. We get to the final episodes and Rao is just like, if I can't have Yuria, I'm killing everything. I'm like, why? Why does he love her? Even in the flashback where they showed them meeting as kids, I was like, because she handed him a ball? Like, it was stupid. Like, it kind of ruined his villainy for me, you know? Because even if he ended up liking her when he had captured her, that would have been fine. It was the fact that he walked in there like, I want her. I want woman. Ooga booga. Like, that shit was stupid. He could have grown to respect her while he's watching over her. She heals him and he goes, damn, what a woman. Even if... he wouldn't even have to love her, he'd just have to respect her. Still would have been better than him being a simp. I'm like, why does he have to go out a simp? This whole time, he's just like, I'm serving myself. This is for me. I'm the man. I don't do none of that loving shit. And then you get to the end, oh, I like her though. Like, bro, it ruined it a bit for me. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think I sighed out loud when he said I like Yuria and I want her. Because I'm out here, this is the only villain we've had who's not a simp for something or someone or isn't affected by like deep love. At least not yet anyways. And then it just kind of all fell down when he said that. It wasn't even really hinted to. I mean, I think he said it in a flashback like once at the start of the show, but it was never brought up like that ever again. It was more of just him doing his thing, and that fucked it up. I didn't like it. Why does the story paint Rao like he was somehow a good person? I don't even think this is an uncommon complaint. I saw this in all the final comments on Crunchyroll, cause when Ken beats Rao, he goes, you were my brother, you were my best friend, da 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 da, and Rao is just smiling like, yeah, I don't regret anything I did. Do y'all remember how much Rao did? This man was enslaving people and killing people, and his army was horrible, and they were doing absolutely terrible things. So the fact that when he's fighting Ken goes like, oh, we were best friends, I'm like, when? Every flashback you get of Rao in that show, it didn't seem like he liked anyone but Togi. Like, at all. Like, he didn't care about any of them. So it's like, I wish Ken just went, we were brothers at a time, what happened? Or something like that, instead of going like, we were best friends, we were bros, we were homies, we used to kick back Cool Ranch Doritos. That just didn't happen. And him going, I don't regret anything, it kind of makes him look like more of a prick, because it's like, you were enslaving people the whole show. Like, what are you talking about? Like, bro. And everyone got all sad when he died. They're like, damn, bro. There go a real one, Rao. I'm like, he wasn't fighting the good fight. He wasn't saving people. He was killing people daily. He was the run-up antagonist for this show the whole time. Ken, he almost killed your wife. Like, honestly, if he didn't have that little epiphany, he was like 3 seconds away from doing it. But he's a good dude. Dude who just fucked up everything. Good dude. Good guy. Good guy. Yeah, good guy. Like, no, bro. They didn't need to pretend that. He could have said the whole, I lived my life with no regrets thing. That could have still happened. Don't make it like every character was cool with him, because they weren't. Why does Ken like Rao? Okay, that was my next point. I didn't even know I wrote that. Yeah, I don't see why Ken likes him at all. Honestly, I feel like he should like him about the same as he likes Jaggy. I know Jaggy set up the whole first season, and that's a good chunk of why Ken was mad. But Rao was fucking him up, said he wanted to, like, take Yuria multiple times, I think, and almost killed him in the first season when he first showed up. Obviously didn't like him then, but Ken's just like, that's just my brother. Like, no, he didn't Ken even looked mad when he was beating up Toki. If that was Jaggy beating up Toki, you know Ken would have been in the back, like holding back, ripping off his shirt. Like, I don't know. I feel like Ken should have disliked Raul more. Because the whole time it just felt like, I understand that they have a mutual respect for each other because they trained and all that. But still, after all he did, he should have held some kind of resentment. That should have been shown in some kind of way. Because honestly, in the final fight, it kind of just seemed like someone has to kill this guy. That's just how it is. There's no friends, brothers, give me that. Like, nah. Someone had to get rid of this dude or else he would have destroyed everything. Yuria's power is horribly underutilized. Okay. Some people go like, oh, you mean the thing where people love her? Not that. That is a thing too, but not that. The thing where she can make people not feel pain. If you remember, I actually have the picture this time. Some soldier was like, oh, I can't feel my toes. Oh, I'm dying. Oh, and he's like screaming on the table. And she touches him, and then he doesn't feel pain at all. This is in like the final 5 episodes, I think, too. She never does this ability again. She's unconscious for the Ken-Raul fight. And no other fights happen in between the tower thing and the Ken and Raul fight. So it's like, it was dumb. It was just stupid. I hated it. It's such an overpowered ability that I'm mad we never got to see it. I wish one of the Nanto chariots did something and she just walked up and like touched him and he was like, I'm ready for more. Because you know how Eri works in, oh my god, what is that show called? My Hero? Where she was like on Deku's back healing him the whole time. I wish we got a Ken and Yuria moment like that. Like they're fighting someone, Ken gets fucked up and she's like, I'll go beat his ass. Like, that could have happened. But we never got anything like that. And that makes me so sad. It's such a missed opportunity because the whole show she's just kind of been the damsel in distress. She's done nothing. I mean, the whole, running the city thing. But in a show like this, that's more passive. Like, we never saw her make any actions for that to happen. It just kind of was shown that that's what she was doing. So when the fighting shown in anime/manga, I kind of wish we got one scene where she helped out somebody in a fight. Because her ability is low-key cracked. I don't think it heals you. I don't know if it does. The dude seemed fine immediately afterwards, so I'm assuming it does. But even if it doesn't heal you, that's still a really helpful ability. You know how much shit Juza probably would have bust out if he didn't feel pain from like having to like hold his side and all that shit? He would have hit Raul with the TOD right there. He would have jumped up, flip kick, broke his neck. Like, he would have ended the show right there. The art for HNK 2 is way better than the art of HNK 1. Don't really know what else to say about it. That's some of the best art I've ever seen. If you want me to be honest, I tried to read Saint Seiya after reading HNK 2. Impossible. I wish I read Saint Seiya first, because the art difference is astounding. HNK's art kind of spoiled manga for me, at least for now. And the problem is I'm probably going to read SNK after this. So any manga I read after this whole series is probably they're going to need to carry their weight, is what I'm trying to say. Start of Book Ken. I liked Start of Book Ken. I feel like that was the normal progression of his character. I heard someone mention like the further HNK goes, the more numb Ken seems to get. I saw a Reddit post about it and I was like, that's a really good point. At the end of HNK 1, literally everyone Ken like died, and at the start of HNK 2, like right before it, Yuria died. So it's like, I get why he was sad. It was a bit annoying when, the Raiders came and he was like, run away so you won't have to die, I'll die. But it's like, I get it. From a character standpoint, it made sense. I like that start. Shoza was so wasted, it's not even funny. Shoza was the son of Juza, he was important to HNK 1. So when you hear that he had a son, it's like, oh, this is the son of a main character in HNK 1. Surely they wouldn't immediately kill him. Y'all won't believe what they did. This man died he died so fast I thought it was a joke. Like, I thought they were playing. Because Kokomo comes back, and I'm like, oh, okay, so Shoza's gonna get it, right? There's no way they would waste this character in, like, 2 seconds. There's no way they would put a character, the son of a character from HNK 1, which there were no others of, by the way. There's no way they would waste that character that fast. And they immediately killed him. He died in, like, the same chapter he was introduced. Honestly, like, the same, like, 5 panels it felt like, honestly. Because he shows up, he's like, I feel really bad for Ken, and then gets shot to death. Horribly wasted character. Horribly wasted character. the pacing is a bit fast. I don't know if this is because I watched HNK 1, so they had like filler and they had Ken going on little side journeys. But HNK 2's pacing felt like, here's the thing, we're doing it. I understand a lot of people go like, oh, I don't like it when animes or mangas have to like build up to something, but there's a reason the build up is there, right? I'm not saying HNK 2 doesn't have build up, but no one just talks in HNK 2. Oh, there's this big monster man, and then they're like immediately fighting the monster man. Like there's no in between of them getting somewhere or something. They just immediately do things, and it's like, okay, the pacing was a little fast. I kind of wish there were some more moments where they just kind of slowed down and talked, or like, I don't know, did normal stuff, just at least a few scenes, because I think there are some near like the end, but that was it. At the start it's just like event, new character, event. It's like, okay, I get it. I get it, I understand. Out of the 5 main arcs, I only really like 3. Yeah, we're gonna go over which arcs I liked and which arcs I didn't, but I'm gonna just say them now. I like the Baron arc, the Shura arc. God, I don't remember the other arc's name right now. Oh, the Celestial General arc. I like those arcs. The other ones I thought were kind of mid, but we're gonna go into those. A lot of people were like, oh, HNK 2's storytelling is really bad. I don't think it's horrible. It's not as good as HNK 1. It's definitely, like, HNK 1 felt like, oh, I understand what's gonna happen from here, and then here's gonna go into this and this. It felt like the writers knew what they were building up to. HNK 2 kind of feels like it's just happening at points, mainly towards the end. So it's like, it definitely wasn't structured as well. The Celestial Emperor arc, and I liked Falco. Yeah, I liked the Celestial Emperor arc. I know a lot of people were like, oh, the whole Falco was forced to serve Jacko thing is pretty stupid, especially since like everyone Falco knows could dumpster this man. And yeah, that was pretty stupid. I'm not gonna lie. It really doesn't make any sense how Jacko just moved Louis and then just no one found her for however long that this whole thing has been happening. And it seems like everyone is loyal to Falco, so all Falco really had to do was kill Jacko and go like, everyone look for her. Like, that was stupid, but given the story we have, I do like the fact that Falco's like, oh, I'm forced to serve this guy, my people are hurting, but I have to do this. I wish it was executed better, but I liked the general thought of his character. Also, his ability was neat. We got Ein, amazing character. I liked Ein a lot. It was just a nice first arc to start off with, I guess. I don't really know what else to say. Falco was cool. I liked his powers. I liked the general idea of his arc where he's like, oh, I was supposed to kill one of the twins, but I couldn't because I loved one of them or something. I can't take light from this world, so I caused all this. It was neat. It wasn't like peak storytelling or anything, but I liked it. It was cool. Rin and Bat were horribly underutilized. Yeah, terribly, horribly. They got guttered as characters. I don't know if it's better in the anime. I'm really hoping it is, since the anime only went to the Shura arc, so like there has to be more filler. But the fact that they were like, okay, here's Rin and Bat of the Hokuto army. They're fighting for Ken's behalf. And then they suck. Like, they're actually horrible. Like, I don't think they win a single thing in all of HNK 2. The only thing I can think of that they win is when Bat and Ein are fighting a bunch of the goons in front of the Emperor's tower. That's the only time I can think of them winning, and that wasn't even, like, they didn't even really win anything. They just beat up a bunch of people. So it's like, I don't understand how the writers looked at Rin and Bat and said, okay, we're gonna bring these characters back, make them look like they can do things, make them join an army, and then they absolutely suck. Literally in the first time you see Bat and Rin in the manga and they're like trying to be helpful, they get a whole carriage of people set on fire. I don't know. The fact that the writer decided to introduce them losing, I believe, multiple times, and never gave them a victory. I'm like, did you even care? Like, why did you bring them back? Honestly, that's all I had. Like, why did they bring them back in like fighting like roles and then not make them do anything? Bat doesn't win shit. The whole arc, all of HNK 2, he sucks. Rin only fights for like those first 2 encounters in HNK 2, and then after that she might as well be baby Rin because she doesn't do anything. The whole little bow and arrow thing she has, even Mamaya, I'm gonna say Mamaya, I know Mamuya, I don't care, it's Mamaya, I call her Mamaya. even she got to do more than Rin did. And Mamiya sucked. She, like I said in the things I dislike about HNK video, Mamiya would beat like 2 people and then get knocked out. Rin just gets knocked out. She doesn't even fight. She sucks. Mamiya was horribly underutilized too, you see? They brought back these characters and had literally no plan of what to do with them. Shows up and then doesn't do anything. Because I think they were like, they didn't explain it in the manga to my knowledge. She just kind of appears and she doesn't fight anymore. I believe in the anime they explained after Rei died, she was like, I'm gonna be a woman and not fight or whatever. Or she was like, I'm gonna live a peaceful life. So that's why she doesn't do anything. Because it felt like they were bringing people back just so you could go, oh, I know them. Because they don't make them do anything important the whole book. Mamiya literally shows up, I think, 3 times in the manga. And it's just to go like, Ken, you won't believe what happened. Like, that's all she does. I'm like, dang, imagine wasting a character. At least in the anime, I believe they brought Ari back. I don't think she was in the manga. If she was, I didn't see her. It would have made more sense if they brought Ari back and she was the one telling Ken all that stuff, because Ari can't fight anyway. And it wouldn't really have changed much about her character. But the fact that they brought Mamiya, Rin, and Bat back and they all do like nothing, it's like, okay, writer didn't like HNK1 and just sabotaged all of the characters. It's fine, who cares? Ain's death was kind of stupid. Yeah, like I said earlier, I liked Ain. Ain was cool. It was cool that there was just a guy who just boxed people and he was just a mercenary. He didn't have too much character other than I want to fight for my daughter and make a good world. But you know, you got the gist of him. You know, you could like his character. And then they kill him by making him punch a rock really hard. And it's like, what? He had like the lamest death in all of HNK2. I understand why it happened, because it was like, oh, how are we gonna get out of here? It's like, wow, if only Bat was helpful in this season. But the fact that they just made Ain punch a rock really hard and he died, and going on to a point we're gonna get into later, the fact that Ken didn't even attempt to like hit a pressure point to heal him, because he didn't get like, I think he got in a fight before that. That's why he was injured when he punched the rock, and that's why it killed him. Ken, he didn't get like cut up. He didn't get a pressure point hit or anything. He punched a rock. Like, and they didn't even try to help him. They just went, Ain, you were mad cool. And then he dies. It's like, it was such, oh, it was so bad. I really wish they made him just die. I wish Falco just killed him or something. Because the fact that I get it's meant to be noble, he died to save the others, but I'm like, I wish they gave him like a normal shonen anime death where he's fighting someone and he's like, go, get away, I'm gonna lock the door, and then, you know, y'all run. I wish it was like that. Punching a rock to make water come out. Lame. Lame as hell. Lamest death. Lamest death in HNK. In general. Falco's death was actual garbage. Falco got hoed. Falco got hoed so hard for no reason. It's not even funny. I don't know why they made that character. They hyped him up all of the first arc. All of the Celestial General arc. They're like, oh, Falco's like immortal. Falco's like impossible. And then he dies to a dude without a name. And I understand they're like, oh, well, Falco went injured because he went to go save Rin because he had to. I'm like, why? Why didn't he tell Ken he was leaving? They wanted to write him out of the book. There was no other reason that things went down the way they did. Because it's like, oh, I'm not going to heal. I'm not going to tell anyone. They're just going to have to find out. I guess he told his girlfriend that I don't remember the name of. But I'm like, okay. I think he knew the reputation of the land of Asura. Or Asura. But he went anyway. And I'm like, that's so dumb. Literally, if he waited 2 days or Ken came with him, he wouldn't have died. Probably would have lived to the end of HNK2. But they didn't want that for some reason. So they have a nameless dude steal his leg, beat his shit in. Then Ken heals him. He immediately tips on the dude like he was never a problem, and then Falco dies. I'm like, even injured, Falco's ability can split people at molecules. How did he not beat a dude fighting with Beyblades? Like, it was so dumb. Also, I want to point out something else about Falco. In HNK Legends, Falco has this move where he freezes the floor. When did he do that? Was that an anime thing? I don't remember him doing that. I'm like, when did he ever have ice powers? A lot about Falco rubbed me the wrong way. I liked him, I hated the way they did him. Shuro wasted countless characters. Yes, every character before Han, even Han, honestly. But before Hanhyo and Kaio, everyone else got fucking shafted, right? Cause look at, let's talk about, I could literally say any name. Let's look at Alf. Let's look at Shazam. Let's look at Kaiser. Like, characters like that got hoed. Kaiser had the most overpowered ability in HNK, and I don't really care what you say, Cause you're wrong. Kaiser could pull organs and bones out of people. He didn't need to hit no cute pressure points. Kaiser could just kill you. And his death was so dumb too. Shachi's like, oh, I hit a pressure point in your forehead. And what did Kaiser do? He grabbed a rib. You could pull his heart out and you grabbed a rib? Like, what? And then Shazam wasn't even really a fight. Honestly, if it wasn't for HNK Legends, I don't even think I would have known they had a name. Cause they show up, Shachi like insta-kills one, and then Kaiser pulls out the dude's like kidneys or whatever. I'm like, why did you even name these characters? And Alf, I don't think had a name in the manga because Ken killed him so fast. I think HNK Legends spoiled me, right? Because you look at the units in their animations and you're thinking, oh, these are probably like legit characters. Kaiser, Shazam, Alf died in like the same pages they show up. That was it. Oh, it was so bad. I'm really just salty about Kaiser. I'm kind of mad about the other two, but Kaiser got done so fucking dirty. I am the district general of this whole area. I am Kaiser. I have 10 million bodies under my coliseum. Oh no, this dude pointed at my fucking forehead. Oh, bro, come on. They wasted Falco and Kaiser, who have one-shot abilities. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I think Han was underused, like, horribly. Because people kept saying, oh, he punches so fast, his, fist doesn't leave a shadow. Because I think he, like, shattered somebody. Like, he said that, someone said that. And then, like, he looked at someone and they just, like, imploded or whatever. And then Ken and Han fight, and it really doesn't look like anything special. I mean, fist-wise, you know, I get he gets the whole fireball, but like, it was a cool fight, but that power that he had just didn't really affect anything. So other than us going like, oh my god, Ken can hit faster than light. And I forgot to mention Sand Spider. I wrote him in the notes, and I was so mad about Kaiser I forgot about him. Sand Spider fucking sucked. When I looked at him in HNK Legends, I was expecting like, I don't know, confident dude. But the second Ken like hit him, he started freaking out, and then Falco like murdered him, and he's like, like he was he started like bugging out. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Next point, I'll give my life to you was heavily overused. If you had $1 every time someone said I'll give my life for you in HNK2, I think you would have like 30 or 20 bucks. Cause like every character that dies says that. Ein says it, Bat says it, Shachi says it a few times, Falco says it, Akashachi says it. It's like, okay guys, think of another line. It could just be because of the translation I was reading, but I was like, okay, I get it. Think of anything else. Say, I'm fighting for my friends. Something like, it's a shonen anime. They could get away with that cheesy shit. They didn't. Just, I'll give my life for you. It's like, okay, I get it. Get over it. Shachi was mid. Shachi was horribly mid. I understand why people like Shachi. Like, as a character, he was cool, but he didn't get to do anything. He beats Kaiser, and that was it. That was, like, the only person he got to beat in that whole, like, all of HNK2. Because everyone else just existed. It felt like he existed to, like, get hyped up, and then he gets the shit kicked out of him the rest of the arc. Even Ray got to do more than he did. Like, Shachi, he beats Kaiser. Kaio kicked the shit out of him, like, 3 times. He was getting, like, ass blasted, and then he couldn't fight Han, and then Ken fights Han. They hyped him up because they're like, oh, he's the demon of Hokuto Ryuken. And then he does like 2 things, and then that's it. And I understand the whole people are like, oh, what about the moment where the statue possesses him and he fights against Kaio and he's like getting his hit backs? That was cool, but that wasn't really him. So I'm like, I understand I got in trouble last time for saying Shu was mid, but Shachi honestly felt undercooked. He had potential to be really cool, but every other Hokuto Ryuken related character was low-key better than him. Except Juke, I guess. Juke was dookie too. Juke existed for a purpose, and then he died. Hyo was an actually good character. I liked Hyo. I understand some people don't like Hyo. I do. I thought that the fact that they were like, oh, they're learning evil Hokuto, but he was basically Ken. I thought that was an interesting dynamic. The fact that he didn't have pressure points and Ken was like, I'm gonna just have to beat the shit out of you. I'm like, okay. That was a hard moment. Hyo actually getting to have sort of a redemption arc where he's just like, okay, brother, let's do this. That was cool. And his power was neat. I understand people are gonna go like, Kaio has the same thing, but I don't know. I like Hyo. I like this power. I like the fact that he was considered the good guy of Asura. It was nice to see like, since him and Ken are so similar, it was nice to see what would happen if Ken just kind of like lost his marbles, because that's kind of what I felt he was like when he went crazy when woman died. I don't even fucking remember her name. It feels like that's basically what would happen if like Shin murdered Yuria or something like that. He just kind of go sicko mode on everybody, and it was kind of cool to see that. Also, the standoff he had with Koryashu was actually really cool. I like that. I like the fact that they were like, let's go, bro. I stand by your side, Master Hyo. And then they just started tipping on people. That was hot. And the whole him helping save Rin thing. He felt like a better character than most of the characters in HNK 2 is what I'm trying to say. Koryashu probably got the best side character death. Yeah, he did. I don't even know if this is an argument. Like, Ein, Falco, Shachi, all of them felt like they got hoed. Okay, Shachi's death was pretty good too, but Koryashu was like, I fight for Hakuto, and he fights Hyo, and then when Hyo turns, he's like, I told you, I fight for Hakuto till the end. He got like an honorable death, because he was just taking out people while he was dying. You know, and you look at everyone else in HNK2 who usually gets like slumped by something random, like punching a rock or getting your leg stolen. He just had one of the better side character deaths in HNK2. Characters did not get real redemption arcs. Yeah, okay, so this is a really good point, and I don't know if people noticed this, but I noticed it almost immediately. In HNK2, if Ken beats a villain and they become a good guy, they did not get to fight at full strength ever again. When he beats Falco, Falco gets killed by nameless Sand Spider immediately while he's injured, so we never get to see him fight at full strength again. When Hyo gets beat up, Ken just doesn't heal Hyo because he's a dick, I guess. So we never get to see Hyo fight at full strength ever again. And if Ken did heal him, hypothetically, he probably wouldn't have died at the end of HNK2. So, you know, at the end of the Shura arc, so it's whatever. Yeah, Hyo, he didn't fight Shachi, so Shachi isn't really in there, but like every villain that he fights that turns into a good guy dies injured from Ken. Like all of them did. Even if I don't remember their name right now, they probably died like that. Kaio was the best villain in HNK2 easily. This is probably why they ended the anime there. Kaio was an amazing villain. This is what I mean by, yeah, like he was Jaggy and Rao fused into one character. And I like Jaggy. And I like Rao, so I think you can understand why I would like this character. He beats the shit out of Ken. Like, he absolutely stomps dude. He beats MT, he beats up, like, Shachi and, like, all of Ken's friends. His backstory, it wasn't the best. I'm not gonna lie to you, it was okay. A lot of backstories in HNK2, I'm like, these are passable. But, he felt like the best written villain. Because even Hyo was kind of stupid. I lost my memories. But I didn't. I told Kaio about my past for some reason, and then I lost them immediately. But now I've unlocked them. But I'm a good guy, but I'm a bad guy. It's like, okay. Kaio was like, I don't want to die serving someone else. That's basically what his premise was, and I was like, flat, simple, I understand it. You have cool powers, your character traits are nice. He had the best fights in HNK2. The Hyo Kenshiro fight was pretty good, but the Kaio fight, it had a lot more weighing on it, because he was actually built up to. It's like the same thing I said with Rao in HNK1. Kaio got the most build up out of any villain in HNK2, because like literally you just see him shitting on everyone like for the whole arc. So when him and Ken get to that final fight, it's like, okay, I'm ready for this. His death was metal as hell. The whole I'm gonna turn into a statue thing where my mom died, I was like, okay, yeah, I like Kaio. Kaio was cool. Kaio easily the best villain in HNK2, had the best everything going for him. Why did the love pressure point thing need to happen in general? Okay, honestly, this is the thing about these. I wrote these when I finished HNK2, which I think was like 2 weeks ago or a week ago, and I kind of forgot about this. If you don't know what I'm talking about when Kaio knocks out Rin, and then he's like, I hit her pressure point, so anyone she sees next she'll fall in love with. I'm like, why? And I guess he forgot about the whole make a baby with her so I'm not evil anymore, because he was kind of changing motivations. I liked his final motivation. Just to clear myself right now. I liked his final motivation of, I don't want to serve the main Hukdo lineage. I didn't like the whole, I'm gonna kidnap Rin and make a baby with her thing. That shit was kind of weird. But the fact that he goes, I hit her pressure points to whoever she'll see she'll fall in love with. I'm like, first of all, why is this a thing? Second of all, why is this happening? It literally didn't add much to the story other than the next arc, or the Borge arc. I'll talk about it in a bit, but it didn't add much but the Borge arc, and then Hyo having to go save Rin, and then they have to do this little cute game of, oh, Rin can't see anybody, oh, cover her eyes, wrap her up. I'm like, the other weird thing was she woke up when Hyo was holding her, and then he went like, oh no, and he covered her eyes. I'm like, so she's awake. Why is she limp till Bat gets her? Because she was clearly waking up. Like, Hyo didn't knock her out, to my knowledge. So she was just sitting there limp, just being carried around for the whole arc until Bat gets her, I guess. It just made the whole thing uncomfortable, because, you know, whoever she sees after she wakes up, it's like, does she even really like them? Or is this because of the creepy love pressure point that Kaio knows for some reason? It was just fucking weird. It was an unnecessary thing. The Assam arc felt like filler. This isn't a bad thing, because I felt like HNK 2 needed more fillery moments. But the Assam arc, it just kind of happened. It's like they wrapped up the Shura arc, and then they were like, what do we do now? Let's just make Ken go on a side story that really doesn't amount to anything. I get it goes into the Baron arc, but it's like, honestly, if you skipped both of those arcs, you wouldn't have missed too much. Like, the whole end half of HNK 2, like, post-Shura arc really didn't need to exist, because it was just kind of stuff for the characters to do. It was cool. I did like the whole thing where it's like, oh, my sons won't stop fighting for this throne, and I need you to help me. Like, it was a cool arc in general. It could have not existed. You wouldn't really have missed too much. Baron was genuinely one of the best side villain arcs in HNK. Yeah, I don't mean HNK 2, I mean HNK flat. When I say side villains, I don't mean like, oh, you Shin, Yuta. I mean, like, honestly though, might be better than Yuta. Baron was better than like Amoeba, characters like that, like just random side things for Ken to go on. He definitely had the most side story for a side character, you know? Because the whole, oh, I want to be like Rao. Oh, Rao left me because he saw too much of himself in me. Why did God betray me? Like, all that. I liked that. It was cool. He had one of the best motivations in HNK 2. Because, you know, most motivations in HNK 2 are like, oh, fuck, some mistake I made for a stupid reason is biting me in the ass. But, yeah, cool arc. He had cool powers, too. Because he had, like, Rao's powers, I believe, if I remember right. He had, like, knockoff Hukdo powers. It's been cool to see him fight anyone but Ken, because Ken kind of makes everyone look like shit when they fight. Yeah, cool villain. Cool villain, cool arc. I like the whole thing where he was like, I'm gonna become a god. And then I liked his death when he was like, no, the people have to see me die or else they'll still respect me as some kind of godly figure. Like, he took ownership of his actions, and I'm like, this is just one of the best arcs. In general, it just was. I understand why the dude on Discord has Baron as his profile pic. Definitely understand it now. Before I was like, is that Hyo? Is that knockoff Hyo? But now I'm like, yeah, okay. I get it. Oh god. The rest of this is about the Borge arc, so this is exactly what I wrote in the notes. The final arc was hot fucking garbage. The final arc was so bad, it's not even funny. We're gonna get into it because it's literally the rest of these points, but the final arc was so unnecessary, so stupid. It didn't need to exist. It's funny that Ken's Rage, the video game, had a better Borge arc than this. It was so bad. It was so bad. I wish people warned me about this. This is the thing, no one talks about HNK 2 normally. This arc was so bad. I don't know how people didn't talk about it. It's so stupid. He's starting off with, why did Bat wait till their wedding day to hit her pressure point? That sounds really bad in that wording. I meant, why did he wait to, like, get rid of her memory until their wedding? And why did he get rid of her memory entirely? Why didn't he just make her forget the Shura arc? Wouldn't that have made sense? This is the other thing that's creepy about that whole pressure point thing, because you have to go, does Rin even like him? Even at the end of the arc, you still have to go like, is that pressure point still in effect? Did Bat unpress it? Like, it just made the whole thing creepy, because it's like, what did Rin want? Nobody knows, because Kaio hit the creepy pressure point. A whole plot point that didn't need to exist. And then when Bat gives her amnesia, I'm like, so you waited. This dude waited from the Shura arc till now to do that. Like, There were 2 arcs in between. So I'm assuming quite some time has passed, right? So it's like, I understand the whole thing could be like, he didn't really feel the guilt till just now. Which is, again, us putting excuses in the writer's mouth. But I don't believe that. God forbid they smashed or anything before that, because that's even more troublesome. Because it's like, again, does Rin even like Bat? Who knows? Would she have done that normally? Who knows? It gives it like this fucking Ray Gaiden vibes. It's like, I don't like it. Why did Ken magically lose his memory? Yeah, why did Ken lose his memory? This is what I mean by this arc was stupid. Things just happen. The sky opens up and Ken loses his memory for no reason. I'm out here waiting for them to explain it, and they never did. Oh, the tattoos on my chest. And then he just forgot everything. I'm like, what the hell, bro? And then like Coco just despawned. I don't know what happened to that horse. What the fuck were they on? It's like, I felt like they had to hit a quota of books and they finished the Char arc and then they were like, what do we do now? It'd be cooler if they sent Ken off to do something and then they had to find him and then the whole Bat gets tortured or whatever shit happens. He finds Rin and she's like, oh, I don't know who Bat is, but I love him or something. I could probably write a better arc than the Borge arc. I should make a what if video called what if the fucking Borge arc was good because it was so bad. Side tangent off, I guess. Ken losing his memory made no sense. He didn't get a pressure point hit. No one did anything to him. Just the sky opens up. Whoa! And then I forgot everything. Why did Bat and Yuria want Ken to love Rin? And I wrote in parentheses how fucking weird the implications are. Why does Yuria want Ken to love Rin? Honestly, it gives off like groomer vibes if he liked her, since he practically raised her. I don't know how old she was in HNK 1. I think she's like 9 or something. Like 9 or 10, I would have to assume. So it's kind of weird for, you know, a grown man to raise a child and then marry the child. I don't know, Japan. A little strange. And why does Yuria go like, I want you to be with Rin? It's like, you don't even know Rin. Because if we're going off of what happens in the show and in the manga, Yuria saw Rin when she woke up, and then Ken and Yuria went the other way and Rin and Bat went somewhere else. Like, they never interacted. So why would Yuria say, oh, go be with that girl I heard about? It was so stupid. I wish she just said be happy. Honestly, I wish she just said go find someone and be happy, or be able to move on without me. I wish she said something like that instead of specifically saying go be with Rin. Promise me. And Ken is sitting there looking at her like, you're on the bozo juice. What are you talking about? Like, Ken really looked at her like, okay? Like, he didn't even look comfortable with it, you know? Why would you want that in the story? There was no hints to that. You could assume that Rin liked Ken, but Ken was never like, I love you, Rin. Like, that was never an aspect of their relationship. It was more like, these two kids will get themselves killed without me. I'll watch them. And that was it. But no, let's make it fucking weird. And I don't understand why Bat wants Rin to love Ken either. I just don't. It doesn't make sense to me at all. It was never part of their dynamic, so I don't understand why they were like, oh yeah, Bat would think that too. It's like, if anything, Bat would think he should be with Rin. Because who else does Rin have? Like, there's no one else. Like, this man was reverse simping. He was like cucking. I don't know. Like, it was weird. I hated it. I hated all of it. If this did happen and Ken marries Rin, it's like, ew, gross. Why does everyone want this? Bat, why do you want this? Because you think she loved Ken even though she never said it before? None of this would have happened if this whole fucking love pressure point thing didn't happen. But of course, this is HNK 2. We have to ruin the end half of our own book. They ended the Shura arc with this. This all happened because someone wanted Kyle to randomly mess with Rin for no reason. Like, oh my god. Borge should have actually just been a past villain. Yeah, Borge should have been like, this is my inner Jaggy fanboy coming out. I wish Borge was Jaggy. If Borge was Jaggy, God, if Borge was Jaggy. If Borge was Jaggy or literally any other villain that we knew from HNK 1 and then all this shit happened, it would give more weight to what's happening instead of getting a random oh my god. Peep this, guys. So you're telling me that someone set Ken's cave on fire and Ken's response was to cut his eyes and let him live. What random goon has Ken ever let live? Name one. It's never happened. It doesn't make sense for him to just randomly go be a nice guy to someone for no reason. Like, other than this arc that happened. If it was like, this is what I thought happened, because I saw Borge's face before I actually read the arc. I thought Ken beat him up with Hokuto, and then he lived somehow. and then that's why he was like that. I didn't know he just had his eyes sliced. It's so genuinely dumb that this villain exists because they wrote him in at the last 2 seconds. Can you imagine if Borge was Jaggy? Could you imagine if Jaggy comes back, he looks, ignoring the fact that he straight up exploded. Let's say that didn't happen. Let's say, or it's Amoeba or something. Let's say it's anybody, but I'm gonna say it's Jaggy for this argument. So Jaggy gets killed in HNK 1. He comes back in HNK 2 as this Borge character, and he's like, this whole time I've just been in pain, waiting to kill you. I've lost my powers. I've never forgotten your name, Kenshiro. If literally any villain, any side villain from HNK 1 walked up and said something like that, this could have been one of the, okay, I was gonna say this could have been one of the best arcs, but then I remembered the whole Rin Bat thing. We could have had a unique villain this arc, even though it's a returning villain. But the fact that Borge is just a guy, when I mentioned in one of the videos, like, how do you say Borge's name, you know? I don't want to get it wrong. It's like, now that I know about it, I'm never gonna speak on this arc unless I do a what if this arc was better, because this arc is so genuinely horrible. There is no reason to talk about it. It didn't matter at all. There is no what if I could make where this arc matters. What a fucking waste, man. Bat fucking sucks. I know I said this earlier. I know I said Rin Bat don't win any fights. Bat literally sucks so bad because he can't beat Borge. And what is Borge's power? What is his martial art? He does not have one. He is a guy with a metal forehead, and Bat couldn't beat him. Literally any other character in HNK 2 could have killed Borge in like one shot. But of course Bat is so horribly ass, he practically gets killed because of the dude. This was the one time to give Bat a dub. I understand it's in the worst arc in HNK in general. I will stand by that statement. This is the worst arc in HNK. I don't mean HNK 2, I don't mean HNK 1, I mean in general, in the whole series, this is the worst arc. At least in the worst arc, they could have given Bat a moment where he beats the villain. But no, he has to lose because we need a moment where he yells Ken, and then Ken magically gets the memories he magically lost back. In Ken's Rage, from what I remember, in Ken's Rage 2, Ken has to fight like a Musou Tensei clone or whatever of himself, and then that's how he gets his memories back. That's how I thought the manga went. But the manga, Bat's getting like torture. I don't know if I could say that. I might have to censor that. And he calls out Ken's name, and then Ken just magically gets his memories back. And then Ken immediately tips on Borge. It's like, wow, if only Borge wasn't a random villain we came up with to make up tension in this arc that doesn't need to exist. And the last point I actually wrote down is Bat's revival is the only time Ken heals anyone in HNK 2. This is a fact. You would think after Toki's death, where he learned how to heal from Toki, like, you would think he would have an idea of how to. He does not heal anyone in HNK 2 at all. He doesn't heal Falco, he doesn't heal Ain, he doesn't heal Hyo, Koryashu, nobody. Shachi, no, Shachi was missing a leg, so I mean, that he needed a surgeon, he didn't need Ken. But yeah, Bat was the only character who got to get beat up and then recover. No one else in HNK 2 got this favoritism. And then we have to imagine that Rin and Bat go off and get married again, or whatever. But then even at this point, it's like, oh, is this because of the Kaio pressure point still? Like, they should have just made Ken unpress it. I'm like, fuck. Honestly, yelling like this? I really do think what if the Borge arc wasn't horrible? I think that's a video that's in line. Honestly, 100%, because it was so bad. But yeah, Bat is the only character who gets revived in all of HNK 2. Everyone else just gets to die. Everybody else. Remember the dude in the Celestial arc that comes like floating down the stream injured, and he reaches Ken, and Ken's like, stay with me, man, stay with me. I'm like, hit something, bro. Wake him up. Like, slap a pressure point on him. I don't care. Like, come on. Overall, HNK 2 is significant. I believe it's significantly worse than HNK 1. It's not horrible. By anime standpoints, I don't think it's a genuinely horrible story. I would give it, here I come with my infamous 5 out of 10s. I really do think it's like a 5 out of 10. Because there's so much cool stuff that they get to do. Like Kaiser Hanhyo, like all the powers, the whole Shachi final stand thing was really cool. All like there are a ton of cool moments in HNK2, but when you look at the whole story, you're like, wow, this is horrible. It's like someone took like the best pudding ever, like in a container, and then threw it in mud. It's like the pudding is still there. There's still something good in there, but it's like I have to look through mud to find it, you know? There's some good nuggets, like I said. The Celestial arc, decent. Shura arc, decent. Baron arc, pretty good. Never going to be over HNK1. Never. Not in a million years. I don't even know if a single person would think HNK2 is better than HNK1. I guess I'm trying to say I'm happy that it exists because we got to explore more of the world and the characters. I just wish it was handled better. This is the longest I've been ranting. I don't know if it's because I had to keep drinking water. This recording is 52 minutes long, by the way. I don't know how long it's going to be when I edit it, but I've been talking for a really long time, but my voice is telling me to stop talking. So, I would love to hear what you guys have to say about this. I'm glad to discuss anytime in the comments. With that, I've been M, and I'm gonna go drink some water and take a break, and I am out.